Okay guys, welcome to 2026 season 2. We're gonna begin this year with a couple of glass and metal tutorials just to get you guys started after the new year. And what we're gonna be doing today is basically making a kind of scuffed up kind of metal material. So what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and go to EV right here, and we're going to switch this out to cycles. This is your render engine. I'm just going to go ahead and just place on the screencasting keys just in case you guys need them. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the default cube, I'm just going to delete this one, and I'm going to delete the lighting. And let's go ahead and add a plane. And then I'm just going to go ahead and scale this up, and then we're going to add a UV sphere. So what you want to do essentially, just scrolling right now, let's go G, bring this up. And we're just going to go ahead and just sit the sphere just on the side right here, right click, and then we're going to shade this one smooth. And what we can do now is go to the shading tab. And once we get to the shading tab, what we're going to do, let's click on our object and we will go to the materials tab right here. We're going to click new, and we're going to change this principal BSDF out to a glass BSDF. So now we have the glass. I'm just going to put this on a render so you guys can see what's going on. We don't have a light in the scene currently, so let's go back to layout. And what I'm going to do, let's go add, and I'm going to do plane. Press G to bring it up, and then we're going to go S for scale, and just go ahead and scale that across onto the side, and then we're going to go R for rotate, and then we'll just rotate this round ever so slightly, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just scale this in on this side as well. So what this is going to be is our emission. So let's go to the materials tab, let's go new. Change out your principal BSDF to emission, and what you'll see now is we've got this nice little glass ball. So let's go, and I'm just going to go ahead and just press Shift D, just move this across so that we've got two of these, and then we can go ahead and just select both of these with the shift. Once my computer responds, come on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Shift D again. And then just move these across onto this side as well. So we can edit these at any point that we need to. Make them smaller, make them bigger, whatever you'd like, basically. So what we're going to do, let's go on to the shading tab right here. We can see that we've got this nice little UV sphere. If we turn down the roughness right here, we've got a nice little glass sphere. And now because of our lighting, we can kind of see that this is round. It gives it this nice little round texture. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm just going to go ahead and just move the glass BSDF and the material output just to the side right here. I'm just going to zoom in just slightly so you guys can see what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and change a few things on this later on. But first we're going to add the noise texture, and then we'll add the color ramp. So what we're going to do, let's go to add. And we will go noise texture, add the noise texture right here, colour to colour, and you'll notice that you get this nice little pattern going on. So what we're going to do with this one in particular, we are going to go scale, and we should be at 50.6, so 50 and then 600, just about here. So that we've got this nice little scale going on. Detail we're going to keep at 2.0. Roughness we should have 0, so 0.0. Just take that roughness off right there. Let's see, the next one down we want 15.0. Yep. Okay, so distortion as well is 0.4. So we've got this nice little distortion going on. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is the IOR on the glass BSDF is 14.6. So let's go with the IOR. So we'll go 14 and 0.6. So so that we've got this nice little reflection going on, and we also have the noise texture in the background. So what we can do is noise texture, glass BSDF right here, and we're going to go color ramp. So let's add a color ramp in here. Color spelt the American way. And we're going to place this in the middle. Now we have white and black on this in particular. So what I'm going to do, let's move the black to the middle. We're going to go and switch through the whites onto the opposing side. And then I'm going to press plus. And this grey one is going to come onto this side. This grey one, we'll change this to a nice little blue. It can be any tone that you'd like. For me personally, I've got the blue right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and just slide this across to where I need it to be. So you can go with any tone really on this. And you can make this beautiful kind of pattern in the background. Now, this is something that I wanted to show you because I thought that this would look really cool. Say like if you just had something that was kind of sat in the corner. But to be honest with you, we want to make this... that's my dog banging his bowl, if you guys can hear that. I'm going to go give him some food in a minute. So we're going to take the colour to the roughness. You'll notice now that we have this nice little pattern going on in the background, and we're going to change this to gold. So once we've got the gold right here, we can see that we've got these nice little textures going on. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the lighting slightly. So if we go ahead to the layout side and we just click one of these panels right here, they've all got the same material, all got the same texture, so whatever we do to one of them will affect the rest. So let's go with shading again. Remember that we've got that panel selected. We can go to the materials tab here and just increase the strength to what you need it to be. And now you'll notice that this metal has got these little divots in there, and we've also got these little patterns going on and stuff like that. So this is a great way to kind of do kind of a bashed up material in a way, if you want to call it that. So we can call this material right here if we go to the section just above color ramp, just about here, if you guys can see that where my mouse is going around. We can call this gold. And what we can do, we can go to add at the top right here, and we can add mesh. And we can go with cube. So if we just go ahead, G, bring it up, and then G across, and just bring it to the side right here. This now has no material, but what we can do is we can go to this drop down right here, and we can select gold that we've already made. So this will now give this cube the same texture as the UV sphere right here. So it doesn't look as grand on the cube as it does the UV sphere. So if you need to edit this, let's go real quick into this. So if we just let that render a little bit, say like you wanted this pattern a little bit bigger, but if you basically change the scale on this material, it will change inevitably every single object. So you need to separate those two. So by doing this, we can go to this little tab right here, which is new material. Click this, and it should go to gold 001. Now what you want to do with that is maybe name it gold 2. So this is now a separate texture. So anything that I do to this cube right here will not affect the sphere. So we can go ahead and we can scale this down. And we can have bigger imperfections on the cube than we can have on the sphere. So it's a great way of making sure that your materials are in two separate kind of realms, if that makes any sense. So say if I had two objects that kind of had the same material, but I wanted them different, this is the exact way that I would do it, just in a nutshell. So yeah, I think this would be great. Say, I don't know, if you're building buildings or something like that, architecture, different materials. You could also have this for background objects. Games, game textures are great for this. Yeah, so if you guys liked this tutorial, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Okay, welcome guys to the next Blender tutorial, the next installment. So what we're going to do today is a little bit of experimenting with projections. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete the default cube. Let's delete the light in the scene as well. You can keep your camera if you want to, it's totally up to you, but we are going to be moving it. So let's go with a plane to begin with. I'm just going to press S for scale. I always forget. So, yeah, okay. So, we have S for scale for this one. And then what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and add at the top right here. We'll go ahead to light, and you want to go for spot. So, I'm just going to press G and bring this up. If you haven't already, go to the render section and change EV out for cycles. And what you're going to discover now is that we have this light. So if we go onto the render, you can see that the light is shining a little bit, but it's not too bright, okay? So what we're going to do, let's go to the world settings, which is this little kind of pink, kind of red icon right here. We're going to go to color, and let's change this to black. We're going to go to click your light, and we'll go to data for the lights. So you can see this is a white light right here, and we're going to go ahead and just turn up the exposure so we have this nice little spotlight as such. So we've got that nice little contrast going on. So what we're going to do, let's go to shading tab, and what you want to do, select your lights right here. You'll notice that nothing comes up right here. This is because we need to make this a node. So let's go to use nodes, just click right here. So this is now our emission. We're going to go to add. Let's go to image texture right here. You're going to want to put the color to the color. So image texture color to the color of this. You'll notice that when we go into the render now that we have this nice little purple going on. Now, I'm not too sure whether this will show my files or not, but what you want to do is choose an image to basically project. And what we're going to do is click open. And you guys can't see my stuff, yeah. So, I'm going to go into my pictures right here, and I'm just going to select a random picture. This is a drawing that I did of Berlin a while ago. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that. So this is a hand-drawn drawing that I did. I can't really do anything about some of this branding, but yeah. So you've got the projection right there. And what we can do, if you guys are willing, let's add a cube in here. And you'll notice the cube, if say I rotate this just slightly, it is now projecting onto the plane that we have in the background, and it's also projecting onto the cube right here. If I go ahead and just rotate it onto the opposite side just as such, you'll see that that is now on top of the cube. So let's go to layout, and you can see with the full render right here that that is on top of there. And it's just basically projecting down. Now, if I wanted a secondary one, let's go ahead, just go to normal view. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this out right here. So we want to go with Shift D, duplicate this, rotate, and I'm just going to go ahead and just point it in the opposite direction right here. And what I'm going to do, let's go back to shading tab. And you'll notice that we've got this nice white spotlight right here because this is a secondary one that we're going to have on the piece. So you've got your first one here, sorry, and then this is the secondary one around the edge. So if I go ahead and just take off the second light right here, we have the original. This is now the second. So the secondary light right here, I'm going to go ahead. Let's go and just press X right there. So we get rid of the picture. We're going to go new. And I'm going to go ahead and find another picture. Now, I've got to be careful which ones I would like to show, because obviously, you know, some of these are quite private. So, let's see. I mean, I'm trying to really find kind of something. Let's see. We could go thumbnail. Yeah, so this is another Blender project that I did. I have like a nice little thumbnail for it. So you can see that there's this kind of garden going on in the background. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the original spot right here, and you can see that we have a projection from the second one right here. So let's go into layout real quick. And I'm going to show you. So this is our second light, so you can see that we have this nice little garden scene that I made in Blender a while ago. I'm going to go ahead and click on the light real quick. Let's go ahead, you can put the exposure up if you'd like, put the exposure down, totally up to you. And then I'm going to bring in the first spotlight that we had, which is my little drawing of Berlin. Let's see, we can go spot right here, and we can actually turn down the exposure on this one if you wanted to. So now you can have this double projection coming through. It's kind of a really neat thing to do for, say, like an art project or something like that. If you've not got space, because that's how I started with Blender. I wanted to do modeling, kind of like building like dolls' houses and stuff like that, and like making like planes and all that kind of stuff. The only thing is, I didn't have enough room in my house to be able to build scale models. So this is why I got into Blender, because you know, you can do stuff like this. And you're saving everything to a hard drive rather than keeping stuff in your house. So it's really cool to make props. It's really cool to make backgrounds in here as well if you've got green screen. This is perfect for, say, like if you've just got some sort of arts going on, art gallery, or you're making a cinema or something like that. Perfect. So yeah, that's the tutorial for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please subscribe, like, share, follow, whichever platform you're on. 7-minute video. That's not too bad for what we've just done. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, welcome to the next Blender tutorial. So today we're going to be looking at camera panning. So what I've noticed with 5.0 is that they've changed some of the settings in regards to animation, which is just unbelievable to me, because I've been sat here for the last 5 minutes going, why isn't this working? Because, you know, usually with animation you would press I and then insert a keyframe, and then I've tried to manually insert keyframes and just nothing was working, and I was sat there going like, what am I doing wrong? So with the 5.0, and I don't know whether this changed with a prior version or whether it just changed within 5.0. I've not done animation in quite some time, but I'm going to show you how to do it in 5.0, because if you're as confused as I am, welcome to the club. So we have the camera right here, and we're going to go ahead and just work with the default cube and the lighting rig right here. And we also have this thing at the bottom, if you guys weren't aware, which is the timeline. So currently we are on frame 1, and we're going to maybe do this up to probably frame 100, but to be honest with you, you don't really need it that long. Not really. I'm just kind of doing it frame 100 just for reference. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and make sure that this camera is aligned with what we can see. So we're going to click the camera right here. Let's go with view. Let's go align view, and you want to align camera to view right here, which is Control Alt numberpad 0 if you guys are interested in the shortcuts. So now we have the camera aligned to the view right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and pan this camera, or at least move the camera past the object. So I'm just going to press G and just move this to the side. You know what's going to be really beneficial that I always forget? Always without fail. Here we go, screencast keys. So press G and just move your mouse around, and you should be able to just move that to where you need it to be. Okay, so with this in particular, usually what I would press is I and then insert the keyframe. However, with this new version, it's not. It's now changed to K. So if we press K, hopefully this should pop up and you should be able to see it. There we go. So I'm going to go with location for this just basic tutorial. So press K, click location. You'll notice in the corner right here, right, just move this blue line out the way, we now have this little diamond at the bottom of your screen, which is the bottom left, just right here where my cursor is. Hopefully you can see my cursor. So this blue line right here represents our timeline, so this will be the beginning of our video, and then it will recur to the end right here. So to move this camera, what we're going to do is let's go ahead and just shift this blue line to maybe 100 right here, because that was my standard that I mentioned before. And I'm going to go ahead and press G again. And I'm going to go ahead and just move this camera so we have the cube on the opposite side. Just right here. And then I'm going to press K. And we're going to go location again. So now, when I move the blue line, hopefully, fingers crossed, we should be moving. Yay. Okay, so that is a basic rig for a camera. I did talk about season 2 that we were going to be doing some rigging and animation. So this is how we're doing it in 5.0. For some reason, and I do very vaguely remember it being I for keyframes. I don't know why they've changed it. So, you know, they do this sometimes with different Blender versions, which is mildly annoying because you get so used to doing something a certain way, and they go ahead and change it. So yeah, I hope that tutorial was useful for anybody who was really frustrated like I was. Yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Bye. Okay, welcome to the next installment of Blender. So what we're going to be doing today is making some glass effects with text and then making some background stuff as well. So what I'm going to do to begin with is let's go and delete the default cube, and we're going to go ahead and add text and also change the render engine from Eevee to cycles. So once we've got something like this and you've changed your render engine, we're going to go ahead and add a plane, and you would press S for scale, just scale this out, and then we're going to go ahead to add, and we're going to go with text. So you'll notice that the text is currently on its side right here, and what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and press rotate, and we're going to go ahead and go to 90, and then we're going to go with rotate again, and we'll go with 90. So once we've got something like this, we're going to want to put the camera angle to the text itself. So all we need to do is go to view, align view, and then align camera to view, just as such. So now all we need to do is move the text to where we need it to be, which is roughly the center right here. I'm going to go to edit mode, and I'm just going to type in 20 on this side, and then we will amend the base as well once we've got this. So let's go to object mode real quick. We'll press G to bring this up. And then what we're going to do with this, if I just zoom in a little bit, let's go to the A on the side right here, which is the data or data. And we're going to go for geometry. And you just want to go ahead and just pull that offset just a little bit. Not too much that it's distorting, but then you want to press the extrude as well, and this will bring this outwards, as you can see. So once we've got something like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the atom so you guys can see. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. So, yeah. Okay, so now we can see the 20s right here. And with the extrude, I'll just show you again. This is the extrude part. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to, let's go with text to begin with. So let's go with font. You want to go in the first folder right here, which opens all the fonts. Now, unfortunately, you can't see them on my screen, but I do have this open at the moment. So go ahead and choose a font from the listings. I might go, you want to go with something a little bit thicker, something that's a little bit together, but it's totally up to you what you'd like. I'm going to go with this one, which is the Frankfurter Vienna. I think that's how you pronounce that. It should be showing up just there, just TT regular, just at the side on the regular font. So you can have that, but to be honest with you, I think the offset for me is just a little bit too much. So I'm going to put that back to 0. So we now have something like this. What I'm going to do is we're going to make this as a glass texture. So let's go to material. We'll go new. You want to switch out the principal BSDF to glass BSDF, and we're going to turn the roughness down. Now, when we go to the render, providing that you have switched this over to from EV to cycles, this will work. So now you can see that we have this nice little glass going on in the background. So we're going to take the 20 that we've just made, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of tone to it. So maybe we could go with a nice purple or something like that. Just turn down that roughness just ever so slightly. And now we have something like this. So the lighting is kind of bothering me a little bit as well. So what I'm going to do, let's go to add. We'll go to plane. G to bring this up. And then you can go R for rotate, and you can rotate this at any angle. S for scale. Just make it like a little strip light. Let's go S for scale and just bring this down. I'm going to go with G and bring this across to the back. Just as such. You want to get this so that it's off the camera. Let's take away that transform real quick so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so with this, we're going to go new. Let's go with principal BSDF, switch it out to emission. We're just going to turn the strength up a little bit, just so that we can buffer out some of these shadows as well. So, this 20, we can go ahead and we can bring this forward if you wanted to, so just press G. Bring this forward right here, and I'm just going to go and amend it just to the center right here as well. So with these lighting as well, we can go ahead and we can press Shift D, just bring this up, and you can kind of just press G and just bring this across to the front as well, and you can rotate this downwards if you want to. So R for rotate. Oops, let's get that on there. So you have this nice little lighting up at the back there, depending on what you want to do with it. Something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this background right here, it's a little bit grey. So what I'm going to do, let's go, this is currently on render. What we need to do, we need this background a little bit further back than what it already is. So if you click on the camera itself and you go to lens, you'll see clip start and clip end. All you want to do is just move the clip end further down. Now if this line doesn't move, it's because it's not long enough. So let's see, I'm going to press S for scale. Let's go ahead, instead of having it just really close to the camera, we're just going to go ahead and just make this bigger. And I'm going to press S for scale just to make this a little bit wider. So now on the render you can see that we have this nice little 20 right here, the lighting's there, and we also have the grey background, but we want to blur this out just slightly, and we also want that nice little fade. So what I'm going to do, let's go to the world settings, change this grey to black. So now we can just barely see the glass right here, but that's fine, because what we're going to do, we're going to put some emissions dropping down at the back here. So let's go ahead and take the 20 for a moment. Just click on your 20. Going to take this, let's go Shift D, bring this down. You're going to want both of these just sat just above each other. And what I'm going to do, let's go to edit mode, and we're going to change this to 26. Just as such. So you can go ahead and pan your camera down if you'd like to, or you could do other things with it as well, but to be honest with you, I'm going to keep it like this. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, let's do some emissions in the background. So what we need, let's go to add, we're going to go mesh, plane, let's go G, we'll bring this up just slightly, and all you want to do is make sure that this is at the back. So make sure that it's just off camera. You see that we have this floating right here if I just zoom out. So this is the part that we want to work with, but if we go to view and we go camera, active camera, right, okay, so you can see just here, you want to make sure that this is not inside of this box. So let's go S for scale. We'll scale this outwards just at the side. And we're just going to have it there. I'm just going to go ahead actually and move this up a little bit. So G, just to move this up. S for scale again. So it's just above the side right there. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, let's go to particles. Let's press plus. And you want emitter rather than hair. So when you press the spacebar, you should, in theory. Let's get this off render first, because otherwise that's going to mess it up a little bit. So, in theory, you should have something like this falling in the background. So, what you want to do, if you want your plane, if you want these little particles to hit the plane and bounce off it, you're going to want to do physics. So, let's go physics, and you put this as a collision. So, when you put this back at the timeline just here, the first bit of the timeline, you should have something like this, and it will all bounce back up. Totally up to you if you want that. You can have that if you want to. If you don't want that, just press X on the collision and it won't do anything. So, with these little balls right here, we're going to need to make these a little bit blurred. So, what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and click the camera right here. We'll go into the data settings for the camera. And what we're going to do is, let's go to depth of field. Click the little piece right here, just on focus on objects, and you've got the little dropper. We're going to go ahead and just select the 2 on the 2026, so you can select anything. You're going to want to go ahead and just lower the f-stop. So you've got something like this. So once you've done this, we're going to do a little bit of experimenting. So because we've lowered that f-stop, you can now see that all of this is in focus, and this has now become blurred in the background. So we also want these little balls as well to become blurred in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and take this. Let's go back to number 1 on the timeline. Let's press G, bring this back. And we're going to try and gauge this, where exactly it's falling. So let's go with G, just bring it up, take that off the camera right there, and S for scale. And then I'm just going to press, let's get this off the render to begin with. And I'm going to press the spacebar right there. So we've got all that little stuff going on in the background. And let's see. So now we should have something like this. Now usually, sometimes these won't blur. But that's okay if you want kind of like, I don't know, some sort of snowfall next to your text or whatever like that. So what you could do actually is bring this forward. So you can press G. And if you brought this forward just behind your little 2026 right here, you could, in theory, let's go back to 1 on the timeline. Just rerun that. Have the balls falling in the background. Totally up to you whether you want that. I think personally they should be a little bit further back, but this is experimentation at the end of the day. So let's go back to 1. I think that would be more palatable. Seems nicer. So if we go into the render right there, we can see that we have the 2026 and stuff. So these little balls that we've got in the background, you can have them as emissions, you can have them as anything that you want. So let's go ahead and go to material. Let's go new, switch out the principal BSDF for glass BSDF if you want glass. You can have little glass ones if you wanted to. Or let's go and switch out glass BSDF for emission. So we now have this in the background. If we just press, we should have the emission coming from the top just to give it that nice little lighting. And I think what we're going to need to do, let's go, let's go with particles, textures. I want to add a new texture, to be honest with you. Let's see. I do believe it's either textures or it's something. Vertex groups. 1 second. I do believe it is actually textures. They should be glass in the background right here, or we could change them to emission. Maybe we could do that. Emission's probably gonna be a nice one. Maybe make them a nice little blue. See, particles, I'm gonna up the particles actually. Might look nicer. And then the physics, maybe we could just lower the physics just ever so slightly. Gravity, we could pull the gravity down if you wanted to. You could have children interpolated Oh, that's an interesting one when you're experimenting. Interpolated. Are you ready for this? Let's turn this off the render. One moment. It's a little bit more. It's totally up to you. You can have display amount, render amount, a little bit more. Let's see. Let's go back to the background. Something like this. You can have clumping as well if you wanted to experiment with clumping. Let's see what happens when we do that. Kind of puts them a little bit more together. Right, so we've got the material, we've got emission, which should be little blue dots. Also, I think this is to do with the particles. To be honest with you, we just need to change the background colour. So, material, let's go material. I'm just going to run that simulation again. Okay, so you can have those in the background if you wanted to. Let's go with G and bring this back actually, just to kind of blur them out just a little bit more. It's going to make that ever so bigger. Let's go again. Something like this. You want the fall rate up a little bit as well, so let's go with physics. Particles. Alright, so lifetime. Make that lifetime just a little bit better. Lifetime randomness as well. Velocity, you could go ahead and mess with some of the settings on there. I'm just looking at some of the drag here, some of the bold. You could go with wild if you wanted to, just move that down a little bit. So they fall like a little bit more gentler. And there's a little bit more of them. Alright, you also have kink types as well, which is curl, radial, wave, braid. I'll show you the curl. So this is kind of the curl one. It just kind of pulls everything together. Okay, so I might, let's go with lighting again. Just gonna go ahead and just amend the lighting just slightly. So let's make this background right here mirrored. Take the metallic a little bit. Take that roughness upwards. I would say take the roughness upwards just a little bit as well. Yeah. So it kind of looks like stars in the background. And what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and make some lighting at the base as well. So Shift D, move this down, just underneath, and rotate this so that it's going upwards towards the piece as well. I'm just going to press G and just bring this forward just ever so slightly too. But just out of the camera's reach. And then maybe we could go ahead with this light. I want to see what happens if I delete it. I think it's going to look a lot better. And then I'm going to go ahead and get one of these lights. Let's Shift D. Just move this across the top. Just ever so slightly. And maybe we could rotate this. So it sits on the side. Let's go G, bring this across. And I'm going to mess with this glass as well, so let's take up the IOR just ever so slightly. When it's ready to do so. And maybe make this a little bit darker as well. You could also pull the roughness if you wanted to make that a little bit lighter as well. So So that's kind of like a little tutorial with glass and some emissions and stuff like that. And you've also got the particle system. It's kind of like a little bit of an introduction to the particle system as well for anybody who's new with Blender. Yeah, it didn't really go as I planned it to, but you know, what can you do? It's experimenting at the end of the day. If you guys liked the tutorial, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, welcome guys, back to Blender. So today we're going to be making some bowls and some plates. Just a little basic tutorial to get people started off who are currently joining us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete the default cube, and I'm going to go to the render settings, which is just up here, which looks like the back of a camera. We're going to go with render engine and switch EV to cycles. And what we're going to go ahead and do is let's go to mesh, and then we're going to go circle. So this is going to be the base of our plate. I'm just going to go ahead and S for scale that one upwards just a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and just split the atom just right here from the corner. So on this one we're going to do a side view, and then we'll have the main view right here. So we're going to start off with the main dinner plate to begin with. And we'll go to edit mode, so just up here, it should be in your top left. You can go ahead and switch objects mode to edit mode. So what we're going to do, since this is the base of our plate right here, go ahead and just click that off. Let's go F for fill. We're going to go with E for extrude. And then all you want to do is just press S for scale, just come out just ever so slightly. We're going to go E for extrude again. Bring this up, make sure that you've got this in the line with the Z axis, so just hold down your center scroll and you'll be able to get that on there. We're going to go S for scale, bring this out just ever so slightly. E for extrude again, just bring it down just slightly to the side so you can see that we've got the side view right here. We're going to go S for scale, bring this out. And what I'm going to do is let's go E for extrude again. Just leave it where it is, and I'm going to go S for scale just to bring this outwards a little bit more. So this is going to be the side of the dish. So essentially what we've got, this one is going to be a posh dish, so it's got more of a base to it than a regular dish. So I'm going to go with G and just bring this up just ever so slightly, just on an angle. So you should have something like this. And we're going to go with E for extrude, bring it up a little bit, S for scale, bring it out. We're going to go E for extrude again, bring this up, S for scale, bring this out just slightly, and then E for extrude, bring this up, and we're going to start to go back into the bowl. So what I'm going to do here is, let's go to toggle X-ray, which is just at the top right here. We're going to go and click that. That will enable us to see on the inside of anything that we're doing. So I'm just going to go S for scale just to pull this outwards a little bit so we've got a nice little bevel. We're going to go E for extrude, bring it up, E for extrude again, S for scale, and all you want to do is just bring this in. So I'm going to go with E for extrude, leave it where it is, and what you'll see on this one is this will be the flat part of the plate at the top. So let's go with S for scale, bring this in, E for extrude again, bring this down, S for scale, bring it in, E for extrude again, S for scale, and all you want to do is just follow the contours of the plate in a nice orderly fashion. So let's go down there, S for scale, bring that down, bring it in, until you're comfortable with the actual design. Now, to be honest with you, it looks like a really good plate, but it's a little bit flat at the bottom. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and select this face at the bottom right here. We've got the faces just at the top, so we have vertex, we have edge, and then we have face mode. So we're going to go ahead and just go E for extrude, leave it where it is, S for scale, bring that in, E for extrude again, leave it where it is, S for scale, bring it in, and we're just going to go with G and just bring this up into the middle. So now you can see that this has got a nice little bevel just around the outside. So when we go back to object mode, we should have something like this for a plate. Now what I'm going to do, let's go right click and we're going to shade that one smooth. So that is our big dinner plate. The next thing that we could do is a small dinner plate, and all we're going to do is just shift D. Small dinner plates are generally in the exact same manner, and we're just going to go S for scale and just make it smaller. That's it. Little cheat for you, but it's a nice little way of doing things. The bowl that we're going to do, let's go ahead and let's go with add, and we can go ahead again with that circle. But what I'm going to do, let's move this big dinner plate out of the way so you guys can see what's going on. So I'm just going to press G just to move this up. Let's move both of these up actually. So let's go ahead and add you can do a cylinder if you want to, but I like to do circles. I feel that there's more control with circles, so we're going to go with circle right here. We'll go ahead again, edit mode. You want to make sure you're in the object mode when you're adding things to the scene. So we've got the edit mode right here. We're going to go with F for fill, and we're going to make this in the exact same manner that we've just made the plates. So you can make this bigger, you can make this smaller if you'd like, totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and just scale this down a little bit. I feel it's too big. So let's go ahead, go E for extrude, bring this up, S for scale, E for extrude, bring this up again, and we're just going to do this in the exact same manner that we've done the plates, except from them being flat. We're going to make this as a bowl. So let's go E for extrude again, S for scale, just bring this outwards, E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale, kind of just make it a little bit rounder at the bottom. Let's go E for extrude again, S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale. I'm just going to bring this up. I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of back up here a little bit. It's getting a bit too big. And we can go E for extrude again, just bring that up. You can go ahead and scale it inwards, just to kind of bring it in just a little bit more. And then we're going to finish this with a nice little bevel on the edge, which is S for scale, bring this in. And then we're going to go ahead with that nice little flat E. So we'll go E, leave it where it is, click, and then S for scale, bring it in. We're going to go E for extrude, bring it down. And we're just going to go ahead and follow that contour of the base of the bowl. Now usually if the bowl is porcelain, the porcelain will be very thick in nature, and for the rest of it, I mean, if you had something that was made of plastic, it might be a little bit thinner. It's up to you. Let's go E for extrude, bring this down, S for scale, E for extrude, bring this down, and what you tend to find is that things are a lot thicker at the bottom. So we can go ahead and bring this down, E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude, and just go ahead and just round that off in the middle right there. So you can see that we have, if I just move this over, we can see that we have the inside right here, and then we have the outside as is. So let's go to object mode, right click, shade smooth. So once we have this now, we have a giant bowl. I'm just going to go S for scale and bring this down. So let's go ahead and just move this stuff back to where it needs to be. So it's going to go ahead and just arrange them as such. You can arrange them in any way that you'd like. So we now have a large plate, a small plate, and a very large bowl, which I'm going to scale that down again because I think that it's too large. Okay, so once we have something like this, we're going to need a material, or at least we're going to need some sort of decoration on here. So as long as you've got your render engine on cycles, this should work great for you. So let's go with the materials tab, which looks like a little world at the bottom right here, and all the options just here. We're going to go new, and I'm going to name this as base coat, and I'm going to make this blue. So let's go with a nice little, I think we'll go with a royal blue rather than a baby blue, but maybe just about there will do for the royal blue. So now, when we go onto the shader tab right here, and we've got material preview, this is what we should get. Or if we go on full render, this is what we should get. What I'm going to do, let's go ahead and add a mesh and a plane. S for scale. Scale this upwards a little bit, just to give this a little bit more shadow and a little bit more depth. So, you want the plane essentially to sit just at the base. Oops, let's go back again. Come on. Okay, so the plane itself, you want this just to sit underneath the plate, so that it's comfortable as such. So, we have the plates right here, we have this nice little blue going on. And what I'm going to do, let's go to the shading tab real quick. We have our little blue right here, and we've called this the base coat. What I'm going to do, let's add, let's go here, let's add a noise texture. So you can go ahead and add that one, color to base color. You'll notice that it turns now this kind of aqua, kind of multicolored thing. Let's go ahead and just scale this up maybe to about 15.8, and I'm going to go ahead and add a color ramp. Color spelled the American way. Let's go there, and let's go plus, and we'll go with that royal blue again, just about there. Let's go plus again. Let's go with kind of like an aqua kind of blue, just to offset that just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do, let's bring that black over just a little bit as well, just to pull some of that detail. You could go ahead and edit the scale as well if you wanted to. So maybe I'm going to put mine to, let's go 41.6. I like that one. Okay, so once I've got this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this noise texture right here. So we'll go Shift D, click on it, Shift D, noise texture. Now you can put the colour from this new noise texture into your metallic or your roughness depending on how you would like your design. So this is what it looks like in the metallic, and this is what it looks like in the roughness. I'm going to go ahead and put mine into the metallic because I like the tones on that one, and then we can go ahead and add a bump. You want to go ahead and click the bump in between the noise texture and the principal BSDF, the second noise texture. Should have something like this. So once we've got this, let me zoom in right here. You've got the secondary noise texture right here. The colour is going into the normal. You want this to go into the height. So go ahead, click that and just drag it across. Now you'll notice it takes a little while to render it, but it's fine. You can go ahead and just play around with the distance on here. You see how that kind of makes like a bumpy texture. You can add some little textures to your bowls and stuff like that. And you can also mess around with the roughness. Make it look smooth, but then kind of underneath you've got this bumpy texture, which looks really nice because it kind of gives it kind of like this nice little coat. If we go to the render mode, this is what it should look like. So let's mess around with this roughness a little bit. So maybe 0.18 is probably a good kind of match with this. Let's go back to layout real quick because I want to try something here. So let's go with the bowl to begin with. We'll go to edit mode. And what I want to do is let's go 7 to heaven real quick. I want to go ahead and select everything around the outside just here. So let's go ahead with Shift Control and just go ahead and click everything kind of in a ring right here. So it should look something like this, just on the outside. You want to be able to, let's take off that X-ray mode real quick. Just scroll across and it'll alter the bar for you. See how that works. So essentially you want to go ahead, let's get this, that bit there, Just trust the process at the moment. Just go ahead and select them all as a ring. Just going around the outside, so you've got this nice little ring right there. We're going to go ahead and press plus. We'll go with new material. This is in the materials tab, and we're just going to go gold trim. So this, we're going to make this a nice little gold. Like a nice little orangey gold right there. If you guys want the exact same colours or tones, just type in the hex there at the bottom. Let's go ahead and put the metallic up, put the roughness down. So when we render this, you'll notice that nothing pops up. So all you need to do is click assign. And then we'll go back to object mode. And you'll notice that we have this nice little gold trim around the outside. Now, it's a little bit too metallic for my liking, so I'm just going to pull that metallic down just ever so slightly and pull that roughness across just ever so slightly as well. So now we have this nice little gold rim. We have these nice little gold and, these nice little blue kind of royal bowls going on. So we need to make them a matching set. And all we're going to do is very simple. We're going to click on the small plate to begin with. Go to materials tab, which is the little pink world right there. You should see next to new another little world in the exact same logo, which is white, and we're just going to go ahead and click base coat, and it's as simple as that. It's the exact same material as we have on the plate right here. Now, one thing that you will notice is the pattern doesn't look consistent compared to this one. The reason is because this is a smaller object, the pattern is going to be more compact. This one is going to have a larger pattern. Now, if you want to amend this, go back to the shading tab, and all you need to do is go to the base coat right here that we've typed in, little world symbols right here, and then it has what looks like two little pieces of paper just at the side. This is new material, so we're going to click that. You should get base coat 001. Now, you can change this to base coat small plate, just as such. And all you need to do is go to the noise texture right here and just scale it up to what you would like. And also, I'm going to pull some of these tones just a little bit. So we've got the exact same tones, but on the colour ramp, because this is a bigger plate, the tones are a little bit more spread out. You can have something like that. So when we go to this bigger plate right here, obviously the texture is going to be a little bit bigger as well. So we can go ahead with drop down menu, and if we go to the original base coat, we've got something like this. And I think I'm going to add another light in here so you guys can see, because it looks a little bit darker, but it's actually not. It's the same tones, it's just the lighting's off. So yeah, it's a bigger pattern right here. I mean, you guys can amend this pattern to what you would like. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this, so we have the base coat, so it should say 001. We're going to amend that to big plate as such, and then we'll scale this up just to make sure that pattern's not been stretched. Okay, so once we've got this, if you want to add the gold trim, let's go back to layout. I'm going to go 7 to heaven real quick. Let's go back onto the excuse me, the third render. Let's go to the small plate to begin with. We'll go to edit mode. We're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the bowl and go around the edge and just select everything here, holding shift and control. Sorry, it's kind of blocked it off, hasn't it? So shift control all the way around. Oops, don't click the amending stuff. Right, there we go. Right, so we've got the nice little circle going around. We're going to go with plus on the materials tab. Go into your drop down, you want to go gold trim and click assign. So now we're going to go back to objects mode, click your larger plate, we'll go to edit mode, again, shift control, and just go ahead and select that loop all the way around to the back of the plate. Press plus on your materials tab and we'll go to that drop down with gold trim and click assign. So now you should have 3 plates, all with nice little gold trims and nice little patterns and stuff to work with. So these would be great for props and stuff, say like you'd be making games or something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my thumbnail. Actually, you guys can see how I make my thumbnails. So let's go with G. I'm just gonna go ahead and place these on top of one another. So maybe yeah, I can kind of see what's going on here, and then I'll go 7 to heaven. Oops, sorry, no, that one. Let's go 7 to heaven on there, so I can see from the up side, and then I can see from the side right here. So let's go with G, bring this to the center, just sit that on top of there, and then I'm going to take this ball right here, press G to bring this across. It's not exactly perfectly in line, but that's okay. And then we're just going to sit that, I think that would be roughly in the correct position, just on top of that one. I'm going to go ahead and just move this to the side actually. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. That ball, to be honest with you, if I redid this, I probably would have squished the ball down a little bit. I feel it's too much. But yeah, that's the tutorial for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please do something with the patterns a little bit more than I have. Yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. See you later. Okay, welcome back to Blender. So today we're going to be making a clock model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete the default cube. Let's go with add, and we'll go with cylinder. Let's go S for scale, bring it up a little bit, and then I'm just going to go S for scale just to bring this down a little bit using the axes, and then I'm going to go R for rotate, and we'll go by 90. So let's go with edit mode, and we'll take the front face right here. I'm just going to go ahead and just squish this down just ever so slightly. So let's press G, bring this forward, sorry, bring this back even, and then we're going to go E for extrude, bring this forward, and then I'm just going to go ahead and scale this in just ever so slightly, just to give it that nice little bevel, and then an E for extrude again, and we'll go ahead and just scale this in to the center as such. So let's go back to objects mode, right click shade smooth. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up, so let's press G, bring it up, and I'm going to go ahead and add a plane just on the back. So R for rotate, and then we can go ahead and press 90, S for scale, and then just go ahead and place this just at the back as such. So we have our lighting here as well, so let's go ahead and just go into the next render part right here that we have, which is the viewport shading. I'm going to go ahead and change my render engine from Eevee to cycles so that we've got better detail, which we have right here. So this little part in the middle right here, we're going to need some texture. So let's go with material. You know, actually, I'm going to go with textures afterwards. I'm going to make everything first, and then I'll show you how to do the textures. So all we need to do is let's go ahead and let's go for a cube. I'm just going to go ahead and press S for scale, scale this down, just make it kind of like a really thin part. So let's go with G, and I'm going to go ahead and make this as the 12 parts of the clock. So let's go with G to bring that up, and just go ahead and sit this at 12 o'clock. So once we've got this, I'm just going to scale this down just ever so slightly, just top to bottom. I'm going to go, let's go Shift deduplicate, just duplicate this over just ever so slightly, and then put these back in the center. So let's go G, bring these back. I'm going to go ahead and make a gold texture just for this one, and I understand that I didn't do the background, but I want to do a little bit more with the background than just gold. So yeah, let's make this metallic, turn the roughness down. So when we go into the render, we can now see that we have the gold. Now this one hasn't turned gold, but this one has. So all you need to do is go down to the drop down menu right here on the materials tab and click the gold material. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and take these two. So shift and click them both. We're going to go shift D to duplicate and bring them down as such, so that it just at the side. We're going to go ahead and click all four. Shift D to duplicate them. Click, leave it where it is. R for rotate, and you want to go ahead and do this on the axis which is pointing outside of the clock, which is the X. So we're going to go with 90 for 90 degrees. Let's go ahead and click everything again. And I'm going to go for Shift D, and we're going to go for rotate just across those axes. So now you want to go ahead and kind of go half and half, so maybe like a third in, just EST. We'll go ahead with a do Shift D again, click, let's go alpha rotate, and we'll go in the middle right there. So now we have this nice little clock face going on. We're going to need something in the middle right here, so I'm going to go ahead and take this background right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and Shift D, duplicate the background, S for scale, bring it in. This is going to be the center of the clock right here. So let's go S for scale, just bring this outwards just a little bit. So we've got this nice little point in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the drop down and go with the same gold that we have for the outside of the clock right here. So what we can do now is let's make the arms of the clock. You can go ahead and take these two actually. You can go with, let's go Shift D, bring this down. S for scale, you're going to want one large hand and one small hand. So let's go ahead and just scale this out just a little bit more so it's as a clock hand should look. You're going to want to go ahead and take this up with G. And just place this in the middle. So as well, you're going to need to bring it across from the board itself. So let's go with G, bring this to the top. You might need to amend your little pin right here. So let's go S for scale. Ooh, sugar. We could bring that down a little bit. Let's bring this out. S for scale again. Make it a little bit longer. Okay, something like that. Okay, so this large hand can't interact with the back that we have right here. I'm just going to go ahead and just move this background just forward just ever so slightly so it's clipping a little bit more, and then I'm going to go ahead and move this arm just outwards just ever so slightly. So now we have the minute hand, which is a little bit too long for my liking, but we have the minute hand. The next thing that we're going to make is let's go ahead and make the hour hand, which is going to be a little bit thicker. So let's go Shift D. I'm going to go ahead and just bring this back as such. Let's just scale this outwards just a little bit so we can see the difference, and then scale it downwards, and we'll place that just on the edge right there as such. You can do a second hand if you want to, totally up to you. I guess we could do a second hand. I'm just going to move these two forward, backwards a little bit, and then the second hand you can take first. Let's go Shift D, move this up a little bit, scale this downwards, just ever so slightly, and make it a bit thinner. That could be your second hand. Let's go with G, bring that back. You might need to just arrange them just a little bit. So let's move this a little bit closer. That one a little bit inwards. Come on, inwards. There we go. And then this one, it is supposed to be thicker, which is okay. And then what we can do is we can start to rotate these. So you're probably going to have to take the small hand, let's alpha rotate on the X, and then just kind of reposition it to where you need it to be as in regards to the clock as such. And then we could take this hand right here, the hour hand, again alpha rotate, just kind of line it up with the clock as such. And then we could go ahead and just drop this down really and alpha rotate again. So once we've got this, we can make the background for the clock. I'm going to go ahead and make the backdrop right here kind of like a black or a grey. Just kind of offset that just a little bit more. So we've got a nice little clock going on right there. Let's go with this background. Let's work with this. So we can go new material. We're going to go with clock back. Let's go to the shading tab. And let's go ahead and add, we can add any texture from this listing, from the add. So we could go with Veroni if you wanted to. I mean, Veroni will give you kind of like patterns, kind of like shattered glass kind of look, or yeah, anything of akin to that. Gabor, I think, is more circle ones. If I put Gabor in here, let's go value to base colour. That's Gabor. It's almost like an ocean. Let's get rid of that one. Let's go add. I think Magic Texture is the one with all the patterns on it. So you can go colour to base colour. You got something funky like that, you can distort it. It's kind of trippy. Yeah, let's take that one off. Let's put add. We've got texture. You've got gradient texture. You go colour to base colour. And this is what it'll do. It'll kind of give like this kind of darker tones up here, lighter tones up here, depending on what you want. I would add a colour ramp with that, to be honest with you, so you can control that a little bit better. I mean, that's what you get with that. Let's go and delete that one just real quick. I just want to show you some of this. You've got environment texture, you've got brick texture, you've got checker texture. If that's something that you want for a clock, maybe it's for race cars or something like that, checker texture. And you've got all these little rings coming around the outside. I mean, it's an idea. It's an idea if you want that. You can change the colours and the tones on this as well. I think I might go with this one actually. It's nice. So you can have like black and white. Change it to green if you want to. Change the white. I kind of like that actually. Yeah, it's an idea. What it would do is turn up the metallic just a little bit, just to kind of pull some of those colours out a little bit more, and maybe the roughness down. You could have the roughness up if you wanted the gold to pop a little bit more. But if we had that on full render, that's what it would look like. Now, what I would suggest that you do is place this in a scene or something, because on its own it doesn't really look too great. Let's go with layers. I'm going to add a plane. Let's make my own lighting at the moment. So let's go S for scale, bring this out. I'm going to go ahead and just rotate this by 90. S for scale downwards, and then I'm going to make this an emission. So let's go with new on the materials tab. Switch out the principal BSCF for emission, and then I'm just going to go and layer this upwards as such. And what this is going to do, it's going to give some nice little reflections, and it's going to buffer out some of those shadows as well to give it an all-round lighting. It looks a little bit more natural, I would say, for a studio. Definitely for indoor light it looks a little bit more natural than just a lamp. For outdoors, what I would suggest is, where's that lamp gone? yeah, so we've got our little light source right here. You've got sun as well, you can do that, but you've got spotlight. Spotlight's pretty good if you want some effects doing, but you can expose that a little bit. You can go ahead and rotate this actually, and then make it bigger. Let's turn on that exposure, and then the radius. Make that radius a little bit more bigger. I mean, it's totally up to you what you want to do with your design. Sorry, I'm just experimenting 1 second. Let's pull the power on that. And exposure, let's put that up just slightly. So you've got something like that. Maybe make that wall in the background just a little bit darker and turn up the roughness. It's almost like a spotlight on a wall now. And then you can take these ones at the back, the emissions that you've just made, and you can pull these down. So you've got something like that. I mean, that's like a total light change, I think. I think it looks, kind of looks like a pub kind of setting, I don't know, like if you go play poker or something like that. But yeah, I'm just experimenting at the moment. You guys can do what you want with your lighting, it's fine. Yeah, I'm going to turn the exposure down and turn these strip lights back up actually, because I like these strip lights, they're nice. Yeah, so that's surreal for today. If you guys liked, please give me a follow, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Have fun. Okay, welcome to the next Blender tutorial. So today we are doing in a case of an emergency box kind of thing. So what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and switch the render engine over to cycles over here on the tab on the right, and I'm going to go ahead and add a mesh and a plane. Just scale that up. We're going to work with default cube today, so let's go with G, and I'm going to bring this up. And all I'm going to do is just elongate this one to whatever size box that you would like. Totally up to you. Let's go with edit mode, and I'm going to go with the front face right here. We'll go E for extrude, leave it where it is, S for scale, bring it in, and then just scale upward just to give it that nice little box touch. And then we're going to go E for extrude and bring it back. So you don't want to go too far back where it goes through the back, but you just want this just here. Okay, so what we're going to do from this point on, let's go to object mode, add, and we're going to go ahead and add a plane. So you want to go ahead and rotate this by 90, press G, bring this up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double duplicate this, because we're going to need this as a front cover and we're also going to need this as the glass. So let's go with G, bring this forward. We'll measure this up just to where we need to place this. So let's go S for scale, G, bring this down, and you can go ahead and go into the edit mode if you'd like and select the edge tool just here. G just to bring this up, and then G just to bring this down on this side by holding center scroll. So this is going to be the glass, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this out. So let's go Shift D, bring this one forward. So now if we go into the X-ray mode, you can see that we have one at the back here and one at the front, if you guys can see that. So let's work with the one at the front right here that we have. Let's press G and just bring this forward. You can see the one at the back right there, that's going to be the glass. And all I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and go to edit mode. I'm going to go ahead and select the face, E for extrude, leave it where it is, S for scale inwards, and then all you're going to do is just make that again a box. Scale it inwards just slightly, scale upwards just slightly as well. We're going to go ahead and delete that face. Click again, and this should select the face at the back. We'll go delete faces, Press A to select everything, E for extrude, and now you've got the front of the box as such. So what we're going to do, let's go to objects mode. You can go ahead and smooth that off if you'd like. You can go ahead and smooth the back box off as well. This piece that we've made for the glass right here, we're going to go ahead and press G, bring this forward. Just place it right there, just on the front. Now obviously we don't have materials at this point, so what we're going to do is let's go to materials, we'll go new. So this material right here is going to be glass. Let's change out the principal BSDF to glass BSDF and turn down the roughness. And then the background right here, we're going to want a red box, so let's make this as red wood. We'll go ahead and just give that a nice little red tint, and maybe we'll just kind of buffer off that roughness just a little bit. So the box at the back as well, we're going to need the exact same texture that we have at the front, so just go down to the drop down right here and select the red wood that we've just made. And what we're going to do is we'll take the front of the box that we have right here and the mirror. I'm just going to press G, bring this back. Make sure that you've got both selected with shift. Just bring this back as such. And you can see that it doesn't fully fit, and that's the idea of the design, to be honest with you, because you know, the door is meant to be taken off. So this is what you should have in the end once you've finished that. And what I'm going to do with this box one in particular, let's go to edit mode. I'm going to go ahead and select the face at the bottom right here and the face at the top, because I feel that I like to have a different tone on this one and a different colour. So let's get that one on the middle right there. Oops. Okay, I'm going to take off X-ray so it's easier. And then put it back on. There we go. So now you can see these two faces are selected within inside the box. We're going to go with plus. Let's go new, assign, and then we'll have this as a deeper red, just to pull some of those details from the box. So just click assign once you've got the tone that you'd like. And now we can see that the box looks a little bit more square on the inside. So now we need the text on the outside as well. So let's go with just regular render for the moment. Let's go to add. You want to go objects mode before add, so add. And then let's go to text. Text should appear right here. So all we need to do, if we go 7 to heaven, let's go to edit mode. Just going to go ahead and take that off, and we can go, you want to go capitals with this, so in case, let's just zoom back out, off, and then I'm going to press enter, and then we'll go emergency. Okay, so if we go to the data on the fonts and stuff like that, we can also put this into the center so that it's nice and central right there. We're going to go object. Let's get this onto the glass right here, so we're going to press G, bring this up. You're going to want to rotate this by 90 and then rotate again by 90 as such. We're going to press G, bring this forward. I'm going to go ahead and take the X-ray off just for a second. Let's go S for scale, G to bring this up, and then just kind of place it on the glass. So you might need to scale this down just ever so slightly and then bring it forward. So let's go G. So you just want to get it nice and neat in front. S to scale. I'm just going to place mine there. Should have something like this in case of emergency, and then we're just going to put break glass at the bottom here. Or you could put break glass at the top if you wanted to, but I mean it's totally up to you, it's your design. So let's bring this down, Shift D, duplicate this. We'll go to edit mode. Let's get rid of this. And then we just want to write break glass. Let's go back to object mode. And that's it really. That's the project. Just going to move this floor upwards just a little bit. And then I'm just going to add another light in here as well. Just kind of offset this. I think that'll do. Yeah. So if you guys like this tutorial, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, welcome to the next Blender tutorial. So today we're going to be doing some chains with lights on the end of them. So what I need you to do, go to your render tab and quickly switch out EV to cycles. We're going to go ahead and delete the default cube, and we'll add in a, let's go with torus. Let's go alpha rotate, and we'll go 90 degrees. And then we're just going to squish it in ever so slightly. So this is going to be one of our chain links. We're going to shade this smooth. We'll come over to the materials tab and click new. You want to go with a nice gold tone with this, and turn up your metallic and just turn down your roughness. We're going to go ahead and click on this material tab right here and just call it gold. We can amend this later if we need any more detail. And what we can do, let's go ahead and just press S to shrink this down. We're going to go Shift D to duplicate. And all you want to do is just bring this up to the point where they would naturally connect underneath, which is just about here. Now, because these are intersecting, we want to change this one to a 90-degree angle. So we're going to go ahead and press alpha rotate, and we'll click 90. So now, this is the first link of our chain. We're going to go ahead and take this one and this one, holding down Shift, and we're going to go Shift D. You can go ahead and put this on a side view if you want to, but we're going to go Shift D, and then we'll bring this up to the next part. So if we go to 1, which is a side view, we can see where we're going with this. Now what I would personally do is put this on toggle X-ray so you can see which parts are intersecting with other parts. Alternatively, you could add an additional link here if you wanted to, but if I take all of these and we just go Shift D, move this up and make sure that circle is just underneath the link right here. So we've got this nice little chain going on, and we'll just go ahead and do Shift D a good number of times. You can press S for scale to scale this down if you'd like, and just press G to bring it back down to the red line. So let's go Shift D again, go ahead and duplicate that. So now we've got this nice little chain going on. I'm going to go ahead and press G, bring this up ever so slightly, and all this should be gold the way that we've left it. Now the lighting, personally I don't quite like these lights. I usually make my own emissions and stuff like that, so I'm going to amend that later on, but first we're going to go ahead and we're going to go and add a, let's go with icosphere. Let's go with G. We can bring this up. And all you want to do is just place your icosphere just on the edge of the link right here. You can have this kind of clipping just slightly if you wanted to. We're going to go with material, new, switch out principal BSDF for glass BSDF, and turn down the roughness. So this is what we now have. And what I'm going to do, let's go ahead and add in a cylinder. So all you need to do is just press S to stretch this out. We're going to go right click shade smooth, and we're going to go ahead, S for scale, scale it down, G, bring this up, and you're going to go ahead and just place this on the inside of our icosphere as such. Just make sure that it's inside and it isn't coming up from the top, because once we've got this one, oops, yeah, okay, so once we've got this one, we're going to go to Materials tab, New, switch out your Principled BSDF to Emission. I'm going to go with a slight yellow for this, and we're going to go ahead and just increase that strength, just as such. So now this is a light source. So if I go ahead and get rid of the original light source in the scene, and just delete that, we're going to go ahead and add a plane. S for scale in the plane up. I'm going to go ahead and just find that material again. So this center part right here where we've got the emission. So we can turn the emission off, which means there's no light in the scene. And we can also brighten the emission up. So now we have this nice little light that's hung on a chain and light that's coming down as is. So the light will take a little bit longer to come in. As you can see, there's all these dots around the outside. The computer's working out where the light's going to hit, so don't worry too much about that. What I am going to do though, I'm going to place a wall at the back, so let's go Shift D, and I'm going to go rotate this by 90, just as such. Press G to bring this back, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this chain multiple times. So when you've got the background right there, just click it off, and I'm just going to go Shift D, move this across, G, bring this up, and then I'm just going to go ahead and place a few of these in random positions. Let's go G there. I'm just going to move some of these to the other side, and then I'm going to move some of them forward and back. So you've got that nice little kind of chain look. Okay, so now I'm going to go with aligning the camera to view. If it'll ever let me. Align view, align camera to view. And then I'm going to press G, bring this back. And now we're going to go with a depth of field. So you can pick any of these really that you want to work with. Let's go. I'm just going to go ahead with G and just kind of pull this in just a little bit. Maybe we could go just there. That looks pretty peachy. So click your camera, go to data, and then we'll go depth of field, and just use the eyedropper to select something. Foreground, background, doesn't matter, and then just wind down the f-stop and it'll blur everything in the background and keep everything in the foreground in focus. So I don't know how well this will work. When it renders on my side it'll look great, but obviously at the minute there's a lot of noise going on because the computer's trying to figure things out and do the calculations. But yeah, that's the tutorial. What I'm going to do, actually, I like the lighting on this, but I don't like it that much. Let's go ahead and just add in a plane. Press S to scale it up just a little bit. I'm just going to press G to bring this across. S, scale that across, just as such. G, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this ever so slightly and make this an emission. Primarily because I want to be able to highlight some of these chains, and I don't think the light's really doing that justice. So having that additional light in the background right there is just helping to pull out some of these details right here. So, yeah, you guys are probably going to see the render on the thumbnail. If you guys enjoyed this tutorial, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. Okay, welcome guys to the next installment of Blender. So today we are going to be making a decanter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete the default cube, and we'll go ahead and change the render engine from Eevee to Cycles, and we're going to go ahead and add a circle. So what I'm going to do to begin with is we'll go into the edit section, and then we'll press F for fill. Sorry, just 1 second. There we go. Okay, so we've got our circle selected. We're going to go up here to objects mode and switch that out for edit mode, and we're going to go F for fill. And what we're going to do is I'm going to bevel in the bottom afterwards, but first of all we'll make the decanter itself. So we're going to go E for extrude, bring this up, and then S to scale, just bring this out slightly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for side view right here, 1 for side view if you need it, and I'm just going to show you how I'm making the base of this. So you're going to want quite a large base for the bottom, and we're going to go for E for extrude, bring it up, make sure that you are using the scroll wheel to stay on the Z axis, and we'll go ahead and just scale this outwards as such. And all you want to do is just make a slight bulb at the bottom. And then we're going to go S for scale and start to bring it in. Now, at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. I'm just going to go S for scale and bring this up, and then S for scale and bring it in. So we've got something like this. Make sure that this is all even, so you're not going to the side and stuff like that, because sometimes when I started out with Blender, I go like this. We don't want this. We want to be able to stay central like that. So once we've got this part right here, let's go E for extrude again, and we're going to go S for scale, bring this in. It's going to be quite a narrow kind of bulb, so let's go E for extrude, I'll bring this up, S for scale, and you just want to go ahead and just very gently just curve that back around. Kind of reminds me of a flask actually, but we're going to go from about here, nice little kind of neck there, and then we'll go E for extrude, bring this up just ever so slightly, so you just ever so slightly up just there. We'll go S for scale, this is going to be a little bit of a bevel so that we've got a lip to the glass. We're going to go E for extrude again, S for scale outwards, E for extrude, E for extrude again, and now we're going to start to go inwards. So at this point we're currently at the top of the glass, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go E for extrude, leave it where it is, click, and then S for scale, bring it in. And what you're going to notice when we go back down is if I press E for extrude, for example, we've gone back down but we can't see the inside of the decanter. So if I just go backtrack that, would just backtrack that for 1 second. Let's scroll across the top here, and we've got something that's called toggle X-ray. So we're going to click toggle X-ray there, and if I press E for extrude, you can now see that I can see the inside. So what we're going to do, let's go E for extrude, just pull that down just slightly, S for scale to give it that nice little bevel, and because this is glass, what we want to do is we want to be a little bit thicker on the top, a little bit thinner in the middle, and then we want to kind of bulge out just at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and have maybe that much away from the edge. Let's go for E for extrude, we'll bring this down. I'm going to go S for scale just to bring it in just a little bit more. And then I'm going to go E for extrude again and just bring it all the way down to the base of the neck right here. So if you've gone midway like I have, just press G and you'll be able to move it back down again. So we're going to go E for extrude, bring this down, S for scale outwards just a little bit. So you've got that variation in the glass. Let's just leave this right here so you guys can see what's going on the inside from the top. Okay, so once we've got this right here, let's go E for extrude, bring this down again. S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale, and then as I said at the prior part, we're going to make this a little bit thicker at the bottom. So let's go E for extrude, bring this down, S for scale, E for extrude again, S for scale, and you just want to go ahead and just round that off just in the middle, just there. So just like that. Don't worry about the bottom if you're a little bit too close, we can amend that. So now we have this. So now I kind of wanted to make the bottom part quite fancy, and I wanted to indent it as well. So we're going to go to the base right here. Just select his face if you've got your faces selected, because at the top right here you have vertex, you've got edge, and then you've got face. Make sure face is selected. So what we're going to do, let's go E for extrude. I'm just going to bring this down, and then we'll go E for extrude again, S for scale, and then E for extrude, S for scale, and then E for extrude again, and then we'll go S for scale, just to bring that back in a little bit. And then E for extrude again, bring down, S for scale. Now at this point you want to go inwards, so we're going to go E for extrude, leave it where it is, click, S for scale, give it that nice little base, and we're going to go E for extrude, bring this up, S for scale, bring this in, E for extrude, S for scale, bring this in. And what you want to make sure that you do, let's just bring this across, so you have the base on the inside of the glass right here. You don't want your under base, so to speak, this one that we've just indented, to connect to this one. So if in doubt, bring it back a little bit, just like that, because you want that nice little thick glass look. So once you've got something like this, let's go ahead. I'm going to go back to object mode real quick. Just pull this to the side, and then I'm going to pull this to the side, so you guys can see the side view right there. And then we've got this view right here. So I'm going to go shade smooth. Right click shade smooth. Let's go with G. Bring this above the lines that you've got right here. And we're going to go ahead and put with mesh and plane. S for scale, bring this out. And so we're going to click the little cylinder that we've just made right here. We're going to go with material, add. And we're going to go with principal BSDF, switch it out for glass BSDF, and turn down the roughness. Now, when you go to your render, you should have a nice little glass piece right here. Now, you can frost this if you want to by moving up the roughness, or you can make this completely clear as is. So, the next thing that you can do is to make a stopper in the top, and I mean, they're really simple to make. Let's go ahead and just take this off the render mode for the moment, and all I'm going to do, let's go to add, we'll go cylinder, S for scale, bring this down. Essentially what you want to do is make it sit and fit. So let's go S for scale, bring this down a little bit. Let's get rid of that transform so you guys can see. I'm going to go right click shade smooth, S for scale, make sure that it fits on the inside of the bottle right there. I'm going to go object mode, edit, and what we can do, let's take the top right here, let's go G, bring this down. And essentially what we want to do is make a nice little pattern on the top right here. So I'm going to go E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude, S for scale, E for extrude. I'm going to go S for scale, E for extrude. Just make a little point here, just for fancy reasons. Something like that. And then we'll go E for extrude again, and then pull this to a point, just to about here. Because what we're going to do now is, let's go back to object mode. Right click shade smooth if you haven't already. And I'm going to go ahead and add a, you can go with an icosphere, or you can go with a UV sphere for this. It's totally up to you what kind of look you want. Let's go with G, bring this up to the top. Now obviously this is way too big for the bottle, it's going to topple over, so let's go S for scale, and I'm going to go with G, bring this down. You want to make sure it sits and fits just there, just at the top. Now, you can go ahead and you can shade this smooth, so you can have this nice little smooth look to it, or you can keep it the way that it is to make it look a little bit more fancy. Totally up to you. So if we go back to the render at the moment, we can see that we've got the stopper in the top right here, we've got the glass at the bottom. Now, this glass is a material, so if we name this, if we click the glass even, and we name this and we say glass, obvious name. And then we click the sphere that we have at the top right here. If we go down to the drop down in the materials tab, you have material and you have glass. Now, the material that we have is material, which is the white one that we have here. We want to change it to glass, so we're going to click glass, and this will be the exact same material that we have at the bottom right here. So we're going to want to do this with the bottom of the stopper as well, so that this is nice and uniform. So we're going to go materials and then change this to glass from the drop down. So now we have this nice little decanter. Depending on whether you want a whiskey or a wine decanter, something like that. It looks quite scientific. To be honest with you, it does look like, I think they call them conical flasks. It just reminds me of that. If you want to put liquid in this, you can go ahead and select the inside. Alternatively, let's go to side view again. I'm just going to turn that off. Right, okay, so let's go to add mesh. And we want to go ahead and add in, let's see, circle would do this best. So, we can see that we have this line right here, which is the side view of our circle. It doesn't currently have a 3D view because we've not made it 3D yet. So let's go ahead and press G. We'll bring this up to the base of our container. Let's go with S. We'll scale this down. Press G to bring this up. And what I'm going to do, let's go to edit mode, press F for fill, E for extrude, bring this up, use the axes, S for scale, and all you're going to do is just fill in that space as best you can. Just make sure you're not interacting with the glass, you're just on the outside of it, or in this case on the inside. E for extrude, let's bring that up again, S for scale, and then we'll go E for extrude, and then, you know, whiskey glasses and decanters and stuff like that, they're generally not full all the way to the top, they do have an air, so we can have something like this. Let's go back to object mode, right click shade smooth. So now, when we have this little render going on, we have a little bit of liquid inside of it. What we want to do, let's go new. We'll change out the principal BSDF. You could go with anything really. You can go with glass, you can go with glossy, metallic. Metallic would work, but it's a bit iffy. I mean, if you went, oh, not that one. Let's go with metallic real quick, just to show you. So if we went with metallic, you can turn the roughness down. And you can have that nice little shine on there. And then to make this a little bit more kind of whiskey, kind of like, I guess you could just mess around with the settings. But to be honest with you, if you're with glass, let's see what glass looks like. That would be glass. And then you can mess around with the IOR as well to kind of make that liquid look. But if you go with Principal BSDF, you can have that little bit of metallic. I feel that you just have a lot more control. So you can go with metallic, turn down the roughness, and then you can mess with the alpha, which will basically make the liquid a little bit more clearer, so you can see in the background as well. Let's go with base color real quick. Kind of change it to that nice little kind of golden whiskey kind of look, I guess. Yeah, something like that, I guess. I'm not a huge whiskey fan, but I guess that's what you could have in there. Or you could have red for wine if you wanted to, if it's a wine decanter. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with like that, I guess. If you've got something different on your project, go for it. So yeah, I think that would work for the piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and just amend the background right here, just to make that kind of like a grey, maybe metallic. Just turn down that roughness. That's something you can do as well. I quite like doing this. And then what I'm going to do with this background right here, let's go to shading tab. Click the background. and I'm going to go ahead and add, you can do Veroni for this, or you can do noise texture. Totally up to you what you want to do. Let's go with noise texture, or colour to roughness. And you'll notice that you get all these little points on here. It's just an idea to make some texture in the background if you're doing anything like photography wise with this piece. So you get something like that with nice little sheen. And you can go ahead and just change the tones on this. What I would suggest lighting wise, let's go with this one for a moment. Let's go add. I'm going to add plane. Let's go G, bring this up. And R for rotate, and S for scale outwards. So you've got this nice little piece right here. And what I'm going to do, let's go new, change principal BSDF to emission. And this will be a light source. So I'm going to get rid of the original light source here. So let's go with delete. I'm going to take this, let's go S for scale, just to bring this in a little bit. If it'll let me. Come on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to press G, bring this across, and when you see this, you should now have this nice little light source at the side. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a 3D look. I'm going to go with S for scale, just bring this across, and then S for scale, just bring this down a little bit. So it's almost like strip lighting. Let's go ahead really quickly and just go Shift D, duplicate that down, Shift D, duplicate that up, just multiple kind of things. It doesn't have to be perfect. So when we've got the cylinder right here and we go to the render tab, we now can see that we have some lighting in the background. We can now increase the strength. And I think that it just works really well in pulling out some of those details as well. So what we can also do is take the background, which is the world settings, change it from grey to black. And what we could do from here is let's go add, let's go view, line view, camera to view. This little box right here is your camera, so if you press G, we can bring this back. Come on. So let's press G. Just scroll back. Just move the mouse back. And then you could just get this into frame. Hold down center scroll and move that back, sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and just move this lighting back so it's not in the way. Okay, let's press G and bring that back. Okay, so once we've got something like this, we can also click the camera, go to the data settings, which is the camera at the bottom, click depth of field, and then we've got the eyedropper just at the side under focus on object. Click the glass. And all you're going to do is just turn the aperture down, the f-stop in the aperture down, and this will blur the background and will keep everything in focus just here. So if I just enlarge this just slightly, you guys can see what's going on. So it's all fuzzy at the moment. What generally tends to happen is it will figure out what's going on the picture, and then it will do the lighting last. So if the lighting isn't showing up properly, just leave it a few minutes and it should come back. It depends on the machine that you're currently using, because if you've got, say, like I wouldn't say a high-end machine, but if you've got a machine that's like really good at doing calculations, it'll probably calculate everything a lot faster than, say, like a machine that's not used to doing stuff like this. So I think it depends on your processors as well. I'm going to go ahead and just up that f-stop just a little bit because it's out of focus. If you guys want to see what the focus is like, you can go on to the third render here, which is viewport shading. So that will show you in real time what everything's going to look like. So I think that's too blurred for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just amend that as that. So that's a tutorial for today. If you guys liked, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye. Okay, welcome to the next Blender tutorial. So today we are making a chandelier. What we're going to do is, let's go to the render properties to begin with, switch out your EV to cycles as per usual, and we're going to go ahead and start with a circle to begin this project. So let's go ahead and delete the default cube to begin with, and we're going to go ahead and add a, let's go with circle. We want to press S for scale just to bring it out just a little bit, and then we're going to go G just to bring this up. So we're going to have a little chandelier just here, so I'm just going to go with G, bring it up a little bit, just use the axes to get that up there so it's nice and straight for the middle. Let's go ahead and add a mesh, a cube, and I'm going to go ahead and just press S for scale, and we're going to scale this along the Z axis. And then we'll go with S for scale again, just make this thin around the edge. And I'm just going to press G to bring this up so we're in alignment with the circle right here. And all we're going to do is we're going to go with S for scale, scale this down. G, bring this up. And you want to go on side view, which is 1. And this will be your circle right here, if you can see this little dark line right here. We're going to go with G. Bring this across, use the axes again, and then go G again and bring this up. So the circle essentially is just our guideline at the moment, and then we will add a little bit of a gold kind of trim around the edge. So we're going to go ahead with this piece right here. So let's go with material. We'll click new, change out principal BSDF to glass BSDF, and we're going to turn down the roughness. So now this will be glass when we do render it. At the moment the lighting's kind of off. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this light actually. So let's go back to regular render, and I'm just going to go ahead and split the atom real quick. Let's go for side view on 1, and then we can just have kind of like a free view on this one. So we're going to want to put this onto the opposite side as well. So I'm going to go 7 to heaven. Let's go ahead and Shift D. Just go ahead and move this out. Try and get them equidistant as is. So you'll see with mine, where we've got the curve of the circle right here, we just have the cube just on the edge of one of these points right here. So that should match onto the opposite side. And as you'll see, mine is not matching. So let's go with G. Move this up just so that it sits and fits. And what I'm going to do with these two is, let's go ahead and hold down Shift, click them both. We'll go Shift D, click, leave it where it is. R for rotate, it should automatically rotate around the Z. And we're going to go with 90. So with this as well, let's go and click the other 4. So this is a point where I need to get my calculator out just to make sure that I have this in the right place, because sometimes I get the numbers just slightly off. So we're going to go with a calculator on your phone if you want to. So we're going to go 90, and we're going to divide this by 2, which is a 45, which is, I'm fine with that bit. So let's go with Shift D for all of these. We're going to go R for rotate. We're going to press 45. Go ahead and click all of these again, just the cubes. Make sure the circle's not selected. Let's go Shift D again, click, and then we're going to go ahead and divide that 45 by 2. Oops. Just backtrack with that. 45 divided by 2, and that is 22.5. So let's go Shift D. I think we already duplicated those, but it's fine. Let's go alpha rotates, and we'll go 22.5 for that rotation. So now we have all of these going around in a circle. So I'm just going to go ahead with the render and just see how this looks. Uh-oh. I think we got a double bubble there. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and just click on these just to make sure that they're not double bubbles. Yeah, that one's not a double bubble. I think I already duplicated a few of them before I moved it, so yeah, let's get rid of that one. That one should be fine. I mean, I guess you'll see it in the light difference, to be honest with you. Just go around, make sure you've not doubled up. You've not duplicate anywhere. Alright, so once you're happy with your design, we can have a look at this on here. You can see that this one is doubled up and this one's doubled up. So let's go ahead and click delete on that one and click delete on that one. So now we've all got singular all the way around. So we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and we'll take this circle actually. We'll go for edit mode, E for extrude, bring this down, just as such. So if I go on the wireframe right here, you can see it's just been brought down. We're going to go A to select everything and E for extrude, leave it where it is, click, and then S to scale to bring it outwards. So this is going to be a nice little loop that we're going to have around the edge. Let's go to object mode and just place it in that one. Right click shade smooth. So this is essentially just holding the glass at the top as is. So you can have a little bit of a ridge in the middle if you want to, but totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead, let's go to X-ray mode real quick. Box select absolutely everything. Shift D, bring this down, and all you're going to do is S for scale. And you can bring this down as far, or you can have it pretty far up if you want to. S for scale, let's go Shift D again. Bring this down, and then S for scale, bring this down into the middle right there. And all I'm going to do with this now, we've got this, is add some little gold trims to this. So we can do new material, let's call this gold. We'll do this light orangey yellow. Let's go metallic, roughness down. I'm going to go ahead and add a mesh and a plane at the bottom right here, so S for scale. And there's no light in this piece at the moment, primarily because we've not added the light source yet. So let's go ahead and make this next loop that we have right here in the middle. Go to your drop down, go for gold, so it's nice and uniform in tone and material. And then we'll go ahead and do drop down gold as well. So the next thing that we need to do is add some lighting and add some little struts in the middle and stuff like that. So the idea that we could do this, let's go with a cylinder. Just going to go onto this render points at the moment. Let's go for this one so we can see what's going on. Let's go S for scale, bring this down, and you just essentially want to make a little tube. We're going to go R for rotate, and we'll go 90. G to bring this up. And all you want to do is just get this in between the ring right here. So let's go S for scale, bring this down just ever so slightly, and then I'm going to go S for scale and bring this across. And you want to make sure this sits and fits on the ring right here. So the side view that we have right here, we can go with X-ray. Let's go G, bring this up, so that should sit right in the middle of our piece right there. I'm just going to go ahead with 7 to heaven real quick, because we're clipping the outside right here. So let's go S for scale, bring this down, just as such. So you want to do this to the rest of them as well. So let's go with Shift D. We'll bring this up to the next run. And then you want to go S for scale, bring this across to the middle run. And then we want to go with Shift D, duplicate this again. Just click, we'll go G, bring this up to the top run. And then we're going to go with S for scale and bring this across onto the top run. So now you've got something like this, where it's every single tier has a little bar coming through it. The next bit that we're going to do, let's go ahead and change that to gold actually. Every single bar to gold with that drop down. So we'll take this bar at the top right here, and we'll go with Shift D, bring this up, R for rotate, we'll go 90, S for scale, bring it out just a little bit, And you want to go ahead and make sure that this bar comes all the way down to the bottom right here. So let's go G, bring this down. And we'll place that just as is. So you should have something like this once you're all said and done. If you guys can see that. And let's go ahead and add some light. So let's go add. I'm going to go ahead with an icosphere. Little icospheres going all the way up. Let's go S for scale. Make sure that it's on the bar. Just here. Let's go with new. Switch out your principal BSDF on your materials tab to emission. And we're going to make it slightly yellow. So once we've got this, we can go ahead and we can press G, bring this down, put this into the middle or just underneath the support right there. And then we're going to go ahead and Shift D, bring this down to the next support, and Shift D, bring this down to the next support. As such. So when all is said and done, this should be your project. You've got the little lighting in the middle right there. You can go ahead and increase the strength of that emission, and we get this beautiful nice pattern at the bottom right there. I'm going to go ahead and add a ceiling actually, so let's go Shift D. Just bring that base, that little plane up that you had before. I'm just going to bring the camera down a little bit so you can see. And of course it's really fuzzy because lighting is generally the last thing that comes in Blender. So yeah, you've got this nice little glass texture going on. What you could do with the glass as well, if we click one of the panels, because when we change anything to do with this singular panel, because the rest of the panels have the exact same material, what you'll find is that they'll change too. So we can change the colour of this if you'd like. You could have it a nice little blue chandelier. You could have it as a red chandelier if you wanted to, yellow, green, purple, kind of blue kind of thing. To be honest with you, I like the turquoise. I think it really pops with the turquoise. Yeah, so that's the tutorial for today. I will see you in the next one. Please like and subscribe.